there are people who would maintain, and I'm one of them, that the problem is actually worse for the people who are the winners in that process. A very well-known cognitive psychologist named Jerome Bruner describes a phenomenon that he thinks occurs more and more in American education today because of this press for early achievement. And that is that the kids who actually can do these things in these pressure-packed places where people think that a relatively capable 8-year-old should be studying calculus, the kids who can do that are conditioned right from the beginning of education to believe that learning consists of giving the right answer to the powerful adult in the environment, and that's all you can do. So whether it's the parent or the teacher, that learning is about giving the right answer back. If you do it, then you're going to get rewarded, everybody's going to be happy, and if you don't do it, then you're not deemed successful. Again, the logical and painful reality of the outcome of that is a generation of students who have gradually been forced into almost a neurotic approach to learning. It results in kids who have achieved at a very high level and have never taken a risk. Kids who, rather than thinking critically, like all of us said was an important quality, don't ever take the chance to think critically. Kids who will arrive at the end of this journey that they've embarked on to get into a great college or university, and they arrive on campus and have no idea what to think. They don't know what they're interested in. The most selective colleges and universities all over the country are experiencing more and more of these kids who won this game of early academic pressure and came out the other end without any sense of humor, without any passion, without any compassion, without any kindness, because they've been competing with everybody else. Often, particularly the young women, suffer from eating disorders. There's an epidemic of depression on college campuses among the highest achieving students, and this is the price that's paid by the winners in this insane chase to look at education as, quote, a race to the top, that you have to start early. So, to me, the three things that I think are critically important in terms of what it means to be well educated are, one, that you begin developing your cognitive and intellectual skills in an environment that is very appreciative of your own rate of development, that doesn't press you to do too much too soon, that does not emphasize competition, that doesn't create classes of winners and losers at the beginning of the educational process. So that each child in any school will develop a sense of their own worth, their own strengths, and will begin to develop without this incessant pressure to perform, that, as I said, can have consequences at both ends. Being well educated means that you're naturally exposed to things in the environment that create the neural pathways that I spoke of, that you've had a chance to sing and play and imagine things and understand the physical universe by moving through it. That's a precondition for being well educated. And if you do those things well enough, the end result will happen. Students will emerge from that process with critical capacities, with their creativity and curiosity intact, with the ability to be fully alive and engaged in the world. You know, I've crammed all of this into a very short time as a way of making you think for yourselves about what you want for your children, or if you're a student, what you want for yourself. Do you want to be in a race and see if you can get only A's in order to chase some goal that you don't know why you're doing it? Or do you want to come out with the capacity to love people, to understand the world around you, to understand in great depth issues that are important, to have a strong desire for social justice, to be productive in the world society, not in the global economy? And if that's what you want, then whether you come to Calhoun or not, I hope you look for a school that emphasizes the kind of things that I crammed into this very short presentation. I want to close. I have no idea how long I've been talking. What time is it, someone? 21 minutes? Too much, too fast. But I want to close by just telling you a very brief story about someone who came to visit Calhoun a couple of years ago, a parent looking at Calhoun for his young children. And he was kind of given the advanced billing as a really tough guy who was going to be very skeptical about progressive education. And I took this father of two small children on a tour of this building rather than the building where the younger kids go to school, because I want people people who are looking at Calhoun for preschool or kindergarten to know what they're going to get all the way through the school. We want to be very clear about who we are and what we intend for our families so that you can make an informed choice. If you disagree with everything I said and you want, either your kids or you, if you're a kid, want to do 7 hours of homework a night and go to a school where you can compete with everybody, and fine. I don't mean to be offensive about it, but at any rate, I walked this gentleman through the school. He looked kind of sour. We walked around our upper school, which you will see when you leave here. By and large, open spaces. There are some dividing things between the teaching areas, but we have virtually no closed classrooms. And kind of a buzz, a joyful buzz on the floor. We stopped and listened in some humanities classes, which are more like graduate school seminars, where there are 10 to 15 students engaged in vigorous conversation, where the students are leading the class and the teacher, in the best cases, is just a guide and a facilitator. We watched lively science experiments. He watched with a little bit of, what's this all about? His kids gave me a high five and said, "Hi, Steve." He'd gone to a school where everybody was sir, and you had to be real careful not to look any adult in the eye or you might get a detention. So here's this guy who wasn't going to buy any of it, or so I was told. And we took this walk around the upper school that took about 15 minutes, and we were getting ready to go down to the next floor to look at the middle school. And I was just awfully curious, so I looked at him and I said, "What'd you think?" And he looked at me, and he's a guy who probably doesn't cry, so I wasn't exactly looking for tears to well up in his eyes. But his face looked like maybe that would happen. And he really surprised me. He just looked at me and he said 4 words. He said, "Your kids are alive." That's all he said. Nothing else. And I said, "You really understand what this is about, what education should be. Because here our kids are very much alive. I hope you saw it when you walked in. I hope you saw it on their faces. I know you'll see it when you go upstairs and see them learning and enjoying school together. You'll see the relationships between the kids and the teachers, and this place is fully, authentically alive in the deepest sense of that. And if that's appealing to you, I hope very much that you'll apply to Calhoun and consider coming here. And if it doesn't matter to you so much, then have a nice night. So, with